thought before sighing as he decided to go over to the most powerful enemy any leader had ever faced. The paperwork of doom. Hinata's perspective, third person. Hinata had just gotten home from visiting Naruto. She understood that Naruto cared about her, judging from what he did the day before. She knew that the boy in question was stronger than he let on, and that he wasn't at his full strength when he encountered the Kumo-nin. She wanted to do more than just say thank you, but she couldn't find the courage to do it. She just didn't have the resolve or the confidence in herself to do so. She wanted to hug the boy, badly. But, what would he think if she did so? Hinata contemplated talking to her father about it but decided against it because her mind was a mess. All she could think of was the sun-kissed blonde boy that saved her from being kidnapped by an enemy village. She had also heard the boy talk to her father but decided to only eavesdrop on their conversation. She had never heard her father speak so kindly to anyone but her mother, who died in childbirth a year earlier. She knew that it was bad of her to think about it, as it only made her sad. She didn't want to remember her mother dying in front of her, with her last words being that she loved Hinata so much and that she would be watching her grow up from heaven. Hinata, however, didn't know what to do though. Her mother, the only person she could consider to be a role model, had died, and her father was only growing colder for each day. Seeing her father speak to Naruto in such a kind manner made her realize that he still had some hope in him, and she hoped that he would return to his old self before her mother had died. She shrunk into a fetal state, tears flowing down her cheeks as she remembered her beautiful mother's face. Hiashi's perspective, third person. Hiashi was a man of honor. He had grown cold towards his daughter, who had shrunk into a state of poor confidence in herself. Her daughter blamed herself for the death of her mother. So did Hiashi. His coldness was a way to mask the broken state he was in. It was the only thing he could do because he did not know how to handle the loss. He wanted nothing more than to hold his crying daughter and let his own emotions out. But he couldn't. The Hyuga clan head couldn't show weakness. The boy. He had saved his daughter from being kidnapped. His gratitude was true. He did not know how to properly thank him, as he had buried almost all of his emotions to maintain the stoic mask that was now Hiashi. He did his best, but Naruto didn't seem to care about the gratitude. All he cared about was Hinata. The boy is so much like his father that it's scary. If Naruto ever wants to become more than friends with Hinata, then I shall allow it. Hiashi thought, proud that his late friend's son had grown up to be so powerful. But now he had more pressing matters. Kumo wanted his head. They had been getting the news faster than anticipated. Hiashi's twin brother, was adamant on sacrificing himself to save his brother that was the leader of the clan. The emotions that was buried deep inside of him was screaming not to let him do it, but over the year he had stopped listening to them and decided to go with the only logical solution that was good for the clan. Which was to sacrifice Hisashi. 14 months later, Naruto's age. 8. With Naruto, a year had gone by since the Hyuga incident. Hinata's uncle had been executed by Kumo to avoid war. The Uchiha clan had been massacred by Uchiha Itachi. Naruto had been going hardcore on the training after what happened that day when Hinata had been kidnapped. He knew that if he could not stand up against a Chunin in terms of strength, it meant that he needed to train. He knew however that his body was not in sync with his mind. He also knew that actually trying to train his body more than what he was doing right now wasn't the best thing either. Everyone had their limits, and this was Naruto's. He knew that he would have been able to beat the Chunin had he not been exhausted from training. He knew that he could stand against many of the Chunin in Konoha in that regard. He decided not to think about it. He had survived the whole ordeal, and he was not going to let this experience throw him off his end goal. He had been able to recreate two of his father's most prized, known and feared techniques. The only problem was that his body was not ready for fights of the magnitude that he knew that he would need to be a part of. Not yet at least. That was why he kept his knowledge and true strength a secret. To keep himself and the people around him safe from foreign threat. Shaking these thoughts from his head, he started focusing on the task at hand. Getting ready for his graduation. He had asked his teachers if he could take the graduation exam early. He wasn't supposed to take it until he was 10, but the teachers, headmaster and even the Hokage thought that he was ready for the life to come. They had seen Naruto's true self flash in his eyes for a few moments several times. He was also far ahead of his class, having completed almost all of the theoretical parts of the whole academy in only a few months and rivaled the last year's students in terms of Taijutsu and Kunai Shuriken practice. If he wanted to graduate, he would very well be able to. There was little doubt about that. Hell, he could have graduated the day he started had he been able to just take the test at that point. The problem was that no one would have allowed him to take the test. So he decided to not hold back as much as he had at the start. He decided that showing them intelligence above that of an academy student and a tremendous amount of growth would land him closer to an early graduation. He needed to. He made his way towards the school. People had gotten the wind of his early and unorthodox graduation. It was unorthodox because he wasn't going to do the test with the rest of the graduators. He was going to do it alone, and almost a year before the current graduation class would be doing it. Therefore, people were looking at him with smiles on their faces, greeting him and saying good luck as he walked down the road towards the academy. He did all the tests and scored a 100% on all of them, just like the teachers had predicted that he would do. They could see that he was confident and there was no fear of failing in his eyes. Only determination. The final test was the ninjutsu part. The examiner, Yamino Iruka, who had been recently promoted to Chunin, asked Naruto, would you please perform Kawarimi no Jutsu, Henj no Jutsu and Bunshin no Jutsu? Naruto did Henjut into the third Hokage, a perfect Henjus well, amazing for someone his age, thought Iruka, before Naruto switched places with the chair next to him. Naruto then made 3 perfect Bunshin. Iruka smiled at this, as he had heard that Naruto had a large amount of chakra for his age. So large that it was probably more than your average jounin in the village. Iruka then said congratulations, Naruto. You are now officially a genin of Konohagakure. As he gave Naruto the headband. Naruto welcomed it with open arms and put it on his forehead before bowing towards Iruka before walking outside to greet the people that had come to congratulate him for graduating so early, and those people were Sarutobi Hiruzen, Hyuga Hinata along with her father, Hyuga Hiashi, Tuchi and Am. They all congratulated Naruto before Tuchi proclaimed, come, let's eat. The food is on the house. As they all laughed and walked towards the ramen stand. They all got a bowl each of various flavors, and when they had settled into their seats, Naruto suddenly asked, so, I don't mind her company, but isn't Hinata supposed to be at the academy? To which Hiruzen smiled and said yes, but I know that you two are good friends, so I told her that it was okay for her to take the day off to spend it with you. Who knows, maybe she won't see you for some time as you are now a shinobi of the leaf, Naruto-kun. Naruto smiled and said yeah, thanks for coming, guys. It means a lot to me. So, Hokage Jichin, are you gonna tell me what team I'm gonna be on? At this, the Hokage got a mischievous look in his eyes, and the smile on his face didn't help it either. Naruto thought that it was very out of character for the Hokage to act like this. The Hokage on the other hand just said, why don't you come to my office tomorrow at 10 AM? I will see to that your Shishu will be there when you get there. Wait, Shishu? I'm not gonna be on a team? Naruto asked, really confused right now. He had heard of people apprenticing single students, but he didn't think that he would be one of those few lucky people. No, there is a jounin in this village that has decided to apprentice you. I believe that he will teach you enough about what this village stands for, and you will go to missions together with other teams as you get more experience. Said the Hokage, surprising the blonde. I wonder if it's Kakashi. But, he's one of the Anbu that is usually following me, I'd be surprised if he was pulled out of the program just to become a jounin sensei, Naruto thought, going into his dubbed Minato state, where he would usually overthink things because they were usually not as complicated as he thought they would be. Both Hokage and Hiruzen looked at Naruto amusingly. They thought that he looked so much like his father when he concentrated or thought heavily. It was rather amusing. Like father, like son I guess. Thought the Hokage. Hinata looked at Naruto with stars in her eyes. She thought that he was an amazing person that had the potential to become the strongest person in the village. She had seen him fight. He was her role model, her crush. But, she had yet to confess her feelings for him. They sat there for almost 30 minutes before Hinata and Hiashi left, saying their goodbyes to Naruto and the Hokage. The latter duo walked towards the Hokage tower, and when they arrived at Hiruzen's office, he decided to confront Naruto. Naruto, I need to talk to you about something, said the old man, as he looked at Naruto in a serious manner. Naruto looked back with an equally serious look on his face as he asked, what is it, Sarutobi Jiji? To which Hiruzen said, how is it that you know Hiraishin no Jutsu and Kage Bunshin no Jutsu? Naruto didn't show it, but he was shocked. He had been able to keep his mask from slipping, and he only sighed at the question, and then looked at the Hokage with a tired look and answered, we both have our secrets. Let's keep them just that. Secrets. The Hokage looked at him for a few moments, before realizing that he wasn't going to get anything out of Naruto. He was right. They both had secrets and it wasn't anything new. He wanted to berate the boy for saying something like this. To speak like that to his leader. But he couldn't. He figured that Minato had prepared something in case Naruto was left alone. I guess you really thought everything through, didn't you, Minato? The Hokage then decided to tell Naruto about the S-rank secret that Naruto was a part of, or in reality, was the S-rank secret. Naruto-kun, what I am about to tell you is an S-rank secret. Only 3 people knows about this. To which Naruto only sighed, pulled his head back and sinked into his chair and answered, if you're talking about the oversized furball with 9 tails, then I already know that secret. This didn't shock the Hokage. It was only mildly surprising. So, did he figure it out from the seal on his stomach? The old man thought, as he replied back with the very same question. Naruto answered with yeah, the seal was a dead giveaway. I've been studying seals for several years now, and I can tell you already that the seal is a piece of art. Never seen anything like it at all. The last part was a lie, as he had memories of creating it. The first part was made properly, but the second layer was rushed and therefore flawed. He had managed to fix it so that it could work properly together with the key that the toads had, should the time of it being needed would come. They talked for a while, mostly about ninjutsu and fuinjutsu. Naruto was currently waiting for the photographer so that he could take the picture for his file. He took the picture and then wrote his signature on the file. Hiruzen looked it over and his eyes widened. The surname on the signature was identical to his mother's. He looked at Naruto, who just said, "What? Something wrong with my signature?" Hiruzen brushed it off. He couldn't throw a fit against Naruto right now. Naruto already knew about the Kyuubi, who was not to say that he knew about his parents. He decided to reply with, "No, it's nothing. Do you want to talk about anything else?" To which Naruto quickly replied with, "Nah, I'm gonna go home and get ready for tomorrow. I'll see you then, old man." Before vanishing into thin air. At this point he didn't have to hide it from the Hokage, so why not use it in his presence? Hiruzen only smiled at Speedster's sudden disappearance before muttering, "I don't think that I'll ever get used to that," only to see Naruto appear again, who had a huge foxy grin plastered on his face. "Did you forget something, Naruto-kun?" Hiruzen asked. Naruto replied with, "Yeah, did you know that Kage Bunshin is a really good way of getting paperwork done faster?" While still bearing that head-splitting grin. Naruto then vanished again after he had seen the old Hokage bang his head on the desk while repeatedly saying stupid, stupid, stupid. But Naruto decided to take it easy for the rest of the day and focus on theorizing around fuinjutsu instead of physical training. He was probably going to be tested by the mentor he going to train under. He theorized for several hours before calling it a day and going to sleep. Only to dream about what happened the night the Uchiha clan was massacred. Naruto was sleeping in a violent manner. His body kept twisting around on the bed as if he was having a nightmare. It wasn't as much of a nightmare as it was more of a dream pulled from his memories. The way his body moved, however, showed that he wasn't enjoying it one bit. Flashback dream, 4 months ago, third-person view. Naruto was walking down the street again. It felt as though every time he was walking home instead of just teleporting something bad was going to happen. He knew it was a bad habit of his. This time though, he hadn't trained as much as he usually did. He only did the warm-up to keep himself in shape. But, it was late nonetheless. The reason he hadn't been training as much was because they had a trip to the bunkers to practice in case of an invasion. So, he got home late and decided to do some light training to spend the time. On his way home, however, he sensed that something was really wrong not too far away from him. He suddenly heard a horrifying scream, indicating violence. It was coming from the Uchiha compound. Naruto started sprinting. He flew past the people under him over the rooftops. When he got to the Uchiha compound's gate, he was horrified. There were corpses everywhere, and every one of them were from the Uchiha clan, be it children, women or men. He quickly ran straight towards the clan head's compound and quickly rushed through the sliding door and saw Weasel. Only, this time he wasn't wearing the mask that he usually was and his Sharingan was activated. "What the fuck have you done, Itachi?" Naruto exclaimed, seething in anger. The young Uchiha only looked at Naruto in pure boredom and said, "I am doing this to test my Strie kunai." Flew past Itachi and his eyes widened. He didn't even see the blonde's hand move. The next thing he knew, he was standing over a training field with Naruto in front of him. Naruto had used his momentum after Hiraishin no Jutsu to teleport them mid-air before landing and jumping away from the teenage Itachi. "What are you gonna do, Naruto-kun?" Itachi asked while looking straight at Naruto, this time without the Sharingan. "Just give me straight answers, Itachi. How the fuck get you so twisted to butcher your family? Is it an assignment?" Naruto asked. However, what scared Itachi was the tone he was using. It was the same tone that Itachi had used just a moment ago when Naruto had called him out. Itachi could also have sworn his eyes flickered red and it made him weary. Is Naruto an Uchiha? No, that's not it. Why did his eyes flicker between blue and red? What are you hiding, Naruto-kun? Itachi wondered. He knew that Naruto could have taken him out. He knew that if Naruto could use Hiraishin no Jutsu, he could probably tag people, so to speak. If so, saying the wrong thing would most likely result in death. Itachi decided to tell him the truth. "Yes, I was ordered by Hokage-sama to take the Uchiha clan out before they carried out the plans they were going to set into motion." Itachi said, as to which Naruto immediately replied with, "What plans?" "The coup d'etat," said Itachi. Naruto's eyes widened in realization. His father had been gone for too long. He didn't have the intel on what was happening during the council meetings. Shit, did the Hokage and the council do something to make the Uchiha feel like they were being watched over? No, they've become the scapegoats of the Kyuubi incident. Or at least, they're suspects of being the ones that did it. Naruto sighed. He had just disrupted an Anbu mission that was without a doubt S rank. If the Hokage got the wind of this, he would most likely punish Naruto severely. It could very well lead to his execution, no matter how close he was to the old man. He decided to go all in and fake it. "Leave your parents and Sasuke out of this." Do not become the monster you're trying to protect Konoha from. And do not touch your brother. Do not speak to him. You have already made the situation bad enough as it is." With that said, he vanished, leaving the Anbu captain to contemplate on what the 7-year-old boy just said. Itachi's eyes widened in realization of what he had just done. He had destroyed his own clan for the sake of the village, no, for the sake of the mission. What had happened? He knew that the Hokage would never order him to do something so extreme. Danzo, Itachi thought, as his eyes narrowed into a horizontal slit before bursting into crows. With Naruto reappeared in the Uchiha compound, frightening the two Uchiha. Unlike most times, he hadn't caught the kunai. He had only teleported to it. He looked at Fugaku and said, "Don't tell the Hokage what you saw. You brought this upon yourselves with your idiotic plan." As he vanished again, leaving the husband and wife to think of their sins. He had reappeared at the Hokage's compound to see what Itachi would do next. He heard them talk about the mission and how Itachi had failed it by letting his parents and brother survive. Itachi had decided not to tell the Hokage about Naruto's interference, much to Naruto's surprise. He could very well rat Naruto out for what he did, yet he didn't. He had also heard the Hokage say that he had 2 hours to get out of Konoha, as he would be branded as a nuke nin then. Naruto resisted the urge to sigh, not wanting to get caught. He decided to leave at that point. He had already heard enough. Then flashback dream, Naruto woke up. His whole bed was drowned in sweat. It may not have been a nightmare, but head had just revisiting unwanted memories. He didn't like the outcome of what happened that night at all. The two older Uchiha had kept their mouths shut since that day, and so had Itachi. Naruto sighed. His head was far too deep into this shit. Naruto didn't want the Hokage to know that he had foiled their plans, and instead Itachi had told the Hokage that he couldn't kill his own family. He couldn't kill the 3 people he loved the most in his life. It just wasn't possible. Naruto knew, however, that this was a blatant lie. He had seen through Itachi's facade the moment he used the tone he had spoken with at the Uchiha complex. It was the tone of a hardened Anbu, and not the bored emotionless one that everyone else would think. If he didn't have the memories of his father, he wouldn't have been able to recognize it. Because of that, Naruto knew that Itachi would have killed his parents had he not interfered. He had no idea about Itachi's little brother though. From what he heard from Sasuke, it seemed like Itachi loved him with all his heart. It was like a protective brotherly love, not wanting to see Sasuke get hurt trying to do the techniques Itachi could perform. It was why Itachi didn't teach him the things he could do. It was why he had left his brother's training to Fugaku, their father. He was glad though. Sasuke hadn't fallen into the revenge path. Instead, it only bolstered his love for his parents and wanted to do everything he could to protect them. It was what they needed right now. They didn't need an Uchiha hell-bent on revenge going down the path of hatred. Naruto looked at the clock. It was 6 in the morning. He sighed, he was up early again. It was like during his early years when he would constantly wake up from receiving his parents' memories. He didn't like it one bit, but it was something that he had been living with for so long. He got up, muttering stupid memories as he walked towards the bathroom. He needed a cold shower after that little incident. He needed it to wake him up. He had the time, obviously. He had 4 hours to get ready for the day. He stood in the shower for an hour before getting dressed. He had decided to go for a black-sleeved shirt with an orange swirl on the back, a pair of dark gray long shorts. On both legs he had his 2 kunai pouches, a pouch containing sealing ink and cloth for the sealing, plus a second pouch with smoke bombs and shuriken around the waist. He had also wrapped his arms in bandages. He had decided to copy Kakashi with a black mask, mostly because he thought it looked badass and made him look like a real shinobi. He sighed. He didn't really want to copy Kakashi. But someone had to, right? He was the Sharingan no Kakashi, the copycat. So why not copy the copycat himself? He went to the kitchen to get something to eat for breakfast, only to find out that he had forgotten to buy groceries. He face-palmed. The only thing he had was a few packs of instant ramen. He cringed. He liked ramen but not that much. Serves me right, I guess, for interfering with shit I have no business with. Yeah, he was going to blame himself for that one for a while. After he had eaten the ramen, he put a post-it note on the fridge to remind him that he needed to buy food before looking at the clock. It was 9:30. He was wondering if he should use Hiraishin no Jutsu to just appear inside of the Hokage's office or not. It would be fun to see them talk and then just out of nowhere say yo. To scare them a little bit. He decided not to. He wanted to see what kind of jounin he would get as his mentor. He started walking towards the Hokage tower, greeting people as he went by. They didn't recognize him, but greeted him nonetheless. He got to the Hokage tower and walked up the stairs. He got to the Hokage's secretary and said, "Hi, I'm here to see Hokage-sama." With a gentle voice. The secretary hadn't noticed him get up close and jumped a little as Naruto started speaking. After regaining herself, she said, "Ah, yes. Uzumaki Naruto-san, am I correct?" While looking at him, to which he nodded. "Yes, Hokage-sama will see you now." Naruto went into the Hokage's office and was surprised to see who was there with the Hokage. Jiraiya of the Sannin. Wait, what the fuck? Naruto thought. He had not anticipated that Jiraiya of all people would be here. Is he supposed to be my sensei? Hiruzen saw that Naruto had just arrived and said hello, Naruto-kun. How are you today? To which Naruto simply answered hi Hokage Jiji, I'm just peachy. What's the sage doing here? Jiraiya, who had been listening, said so you recognize a sage when you see one? To which Naruto immediately retorted with yeah, and I also recognize a pervert when I see one, Iro Sennin. To which Jiraiya straight up facivolted at. He did not expect the brat to have such a low sense of respect. Naruto then asked the Hokage yeah. So, he's my sensei, isn't he? But the deadpan expression, to which Hiruzen just laughed at. It was an amusing scene. Although he was mildly surprised at the fact that Naruto knew who Jiraiya was, he still had the balls to treat him like he did to everyone else. In his own way. Yes, he is your sensei, Naruto. And you should try to at least show some respect towards him. He did, after all, train the fourth Hokage. Said the old man, to which Naruto just mumbled yeah, I know with a frown on his face. Jiraiya then said alright kiddo. I want to see what you can do. Meet me at training ground 7 in 5 minutes. Before he left the Hokage's office in a Konoha no Shunshin. Sure why not? Was all that Naruto said as he looked at the spot the pervert had been standing on before he turned to the Hokage and said he's in for a can of woo-pass for not being here when I was growing up, I hope you know that. And with that, he vanished from the Hokage's office. Nope, still not getting used to that. Was all that the Hokage could think as he stared at spot that Naruto had been standing on. Training ground 7, Naruto appeared at the tree he had tagged. Jiraiya was nowhere to be seen, which was to be expected. His Hiraishin would always be faster than a Shunshin. He decided to get himself ready for Jiraiya by releasing the weight seals that he had on his body and scatter his kunai that harbored the Jutsu Shiki. After a few minutes of waiting, Jiraiya arrived. The man was surprised to see the boy standing there as he did not think that he would be that fast. How did he get here so quick? Jiraiya thought before looking around the field. His eyes widened, there were kunai everywhere in the same manner as the Yondaime had scattered them during battles in the past. The only difference was that these were normal kunai, yet they still had the Jutsu Shiki on the handles just like the tri-prong kunai the boy's father had used. What the hell is this? Does the boy know Hiraishin no Jutsu? No, he's gotta be bluffing. There's no way this brat already has the mastery and seals to use a technique such as this. Jiraiya thought as he looked around him. This all but confirms his knowledge of his parents though. At least concerning his father. Wonder what more he has up his sleeves if he's already decided to show this. Brat, why are there kunai scattered throughout the whole field? Jiraiya asked. Naruto answered with the following phrase. The fire's shadow is illuminating the village. Causing Jiraiya's eyes to widen. This was a variance of Minato's favorite phrase. There were only 2 other people that had known this phrase and both of them were dead. Is that you, Minato? He asked. Naruto chuckled as he said no, I'm not my father. I am however a very capable ninja. How does he know that phrase? Jiraiya's mind was spinning like crazy. It's not a phrase that they had written down in the books. Hell, I've only heard him use it once and that was the day that he became Hokage. The sage decided to test Naruto here and now. To see what he could go for. He knew that if the brat could use Hiraishin, it would be a lot more difficult to take him on. But, his mind and reflexes must be incredibly fast to utilize Hiraishin to its fullest extension. Has he really trained that hard? Alright, let's test your so-called capabilities, shall we? Said the sage as he charged towards the kid. Naruto snorted, that speed was really slow in comparison to his own. Naruto disappeared in a blur only to reappear in front of Jiraiya with a kick towards his face. Jiraiya dodged hit with widened eyes thinking holy shit, he's fast. Maybe I should stop underestimating him and actually try to push him instead. Jiraiya jumped back while going through hand seals. When he landed he spat out a large fireball at Naruto. Oh, a fireball. Let's try this out then shall we? Naruto thought as his hands went into the tiger sign. He spat out a fireball that collided with Jiraiya's. Ho ho, you can also do the Katen. Nkakik no Jutsu. That's Emperor Jiraiya was cut short as he felt a kunai pressed against his side. Maybe next time you shouldn't call bluffs out when they aren't. It came from behind. He turned his head to see Naruto with a kunai in hand, cold blue eyes looking straight into Jiraiya's. Damn, he's angry, does he know I'm his godfather? Jiraiya thought. He had just been beaten by a little kid. This kid had managed to perform a technique that not even he could do, even though his deceased student had tried to teach it to him. Alright, you got me kid. Never thought I'd say this, but man, you're fast. Almost as fast as your old man. Jiraiya said. He had now seen the kid fight. He hadn't even had time to actually step up his game. The kid had just finished the fight before anything happened. Naruto lowered his kunai and put it back into the holster. He created a clone that went to pick up the remaining kunai that wasn't caught in the crossfire of the two fireballs. I know. Who do you think I'm trying to surpass? Said Naruto as he started walking towards the village. He suddenly stopped and looked back at Jiraiya with a bored look and said, aren't you coming? I'm hungry and you've got 8 years to make up for, Godfather. Jiraiya vaulted. Naruto wasn't angry at him, he was just disappointed. Well, might as well treat him to lunch or something. It's the least I can do. He decided to follow the kid and treat him to food. Maybe he could find out a little bit more about the kid, so he decided to ask some questions. So kid, how did you get so good at seals? He asked. Naruto just said I've studied seals for several years with the use of Kagebunshin. They come in handy really well when it comes to theory. Now that I've answered one of your questions, you can answer one of mine. Naruto said, and Jiraiya nodded. We're not going to do D ranks, right? Nah, from what I've seen from you, you're way beyond genin level. Said Jiraiya as he continued, and besides, I don't want to do the chores that are called D-ranked missions anyway. Imagine, the great San and Jiraiya being reduced to doing D ranks. Nope, not gonna happen. At that, they both started laughing. It was true, there was no way neither of them were going to do D-ranked missions. After a few minutes of walking they ended up at Ichiraku's ramen. As they walked in, Naruto said, hey Tuchi Jichin and AM Nichin. How are you? They looked up and smiled. Their favorite customer had arrived. Hey, Naruto-kun. Said AM before continuing, we're doing great. What about you? Naruto I smiled, still having the mask on, and said I'm fine, beat this old pervert next to me in a spar a few minutes ago. They looked to his right and their eyes widened. This was Jiraiya of the Sannin, one of Konohagakure's strongest shinobi. If not the strongest one as of this moment. And Naruto had just said that he had beaten him in a spar. Hello, Jiraiya-sama. Said Tuchi. I'm sorry I didn't see you right away, we usually don't get such prestigious customers such as you. Jiraiya huffed and muttered, well, at least these two are showing me respect, unlike a certain brat. Heard that? Naruto quickly responded with before ordering his meal. AM decided to ask Naruto a question as they got their food. So Naruto, when you said that you defeated Jiraiya in a spar, what exactly did you mean by that? Naruto I smiled once again and said I meant what I said. I beat him. She widened her eyes and looked at the Sannin. He crossed his arms, had a funny frown on his face as he said, yeah well I didn't even get to see how far I could push you. You just jumped at me immediately and said that you had won. Naruto just laughed at this. He knew that if Jiraiya had gone all out he would most likely not stand a chance. He'd probably get killed in an instant or at least been hurt real bad. But for now he could at least boast about beating the Sannin in a spar. They continued talking for a good half hour before deciding that they were done eating for today. Jiraiya was forced to pay for the food because Naruto had ditched him by teleporting to the Hokage's office. Damn brat. I guess he really meant that I had 8 years to make up for my absence. He thought as he paid the check. He then shunshined to the Hokage's office where he was greeted by both Naruto and the Hokage. So, I heard that Naruto-kun defeated you in the test you were going to give him. Said the Hokage with a smile. I guess you're getting rusty if an 8-year-old can beat you. God fucking damn it, Naruto. Did you have to tell him that you beat me? Jiraiya yelled. I was bad enough that a pair of civilians knew about it, but now his sensei who was also the leader of the village knew about it. Naruto just smiled. Sometimes he loved fucking around with people. He just couldn't help it. And boasting a little bit was also fun. And even though he knew that he wasn't at Jiraiya's level yet, he knew that if he could catch Jiraiya off guard, he could do so to most shinobi and kunoichi alike. Yeah well, Naruto began, when you get beaten by a kid you're gonna feel the rest of the fall. Humiliation. Anyway, is there a possibility that we could start off with a mission today, Hokage-sama? As much as I like these small chats the three of us have had today, I'd like to go on a mission. Sure Naruto-kun. Said the Hokage. Tora has escaped again. Maybe you can find the daimyo's wife's cat foe. The interruption didn't come from Naruto. It came from Jiraiya. Nope, no fucking D ranks. Said the sage, give the kid a C rank. I'll be there to bank him up should something go wrong. At this, Hiruzen sighed. He had seen this coming, but he didn't want Naruto grow up so quickly. He looked at Naruto for confirmation on this, and sweat dropped. Naruto had a bored look in his eyes as he said no D ranks. C or above. Such disrespect coming from the youths these days, thought Hiruzen before he said fine, we have a bandit camp 15 clicks from the village that we need someone to take out. He then gave the mission papers to Jiraiya and Naruto, who took them and started reading. I seriously hope the two of you know what you're doing. Said Hiruzen. This mission is a high C rank. Possibly a low B rank. The intel is a week old so we do not know if there are shinobi involved. Naruto just smiled and said don't worry, Hokage Jiji. We accept this mission. And with that, the duo left the office to get ready for the mission. Naruto and Jiraiya were walking towards the target location. The mission was simple. Eradicate the bandits that were terrorizing the nearby villages. Intel suggested that the enemy had 50 low-level thugs and about 15 trained soldiers. These soldiers didn't possess the ability to use chakra, which was why it was labeled as a C-rank mission. As they were walking, they talked. Or rather, Jiraiya tried to get some of his questions answered.